Vampire218 here, bringing you another draft Pokemon Spotlight. Today, we will be looking at Uxie. Now, looking at Uxie's stats, its HP, attack, and special attack are all 75, and these are all just below where you want them. It means you have to invest quite a bit in HP to be bulky, and looking at its defenses and special defenses, both being at 130, this isn't too hard or too much of a strain on you. Having really good defenses and having a decent HP means that you can invest in HP and be bulky because of the natural defenses you'll have. In addition, having a 95 speed means that it's quite a fast Pokemon on its own. So this thing will naturally be outspeeding quite a few different Pokemon in the League format without having any investment. And when you put investment in there, it's going to outspeed even more. Now, Uxie is a solid Psychic type, meaning it has 2 resistances to Fighting and Psychic, and 3 weaknesses to Bug, Dark, and Ghost. Now, this is pretty good, although Dark and sometimes Ghost type moves are pretty common, so you do have to watch out for that. You might want to pair this thing with something that can cover your weaknesses, and which this weakness, or this resistance even, of Fighting and Psychic is useful to you, so maybe pairing it with a Fighting type is really good. Now, Uxie has Levitate, meaning it has an immunity to ground type moves, and that's really good because you can pair this thing with an Electric type and you have a good solid U-turn Volt Switch combo, and you cover each other's weaknesses. Or you don't really cover each other's weaknesses, but this covers the Electric's weakness. So, and it's in RU, which means for being in RU, this thing puts in a lot of work. So it's definitely worth picking up. Going straight to the moves, we will see that it gets, and because we have both 75 attack and special attack, we'll be looking at both physical and special moves. So it has Acrobatics, and I like this move when you combine it with some berries. So a Colbur Berry with Acrobatics means that you take less from Knockoff. Knockoff doesn't proc, and then you also get a boost to Acrobatics. So that's pretty good if you're going up against a Grass type or a Fighting type or something where you want a very hard-hitting flying move. Although for Fighting types you do have Psychic coverage. It has quite a few good status boosters, such as Amnesia, Calm Mind, I guess Double Team if it's not banned. Going into the special side again, we have Dazzling Gleam as fairy coverage to kill your dragon type enemies and your dark type enemies, so that's important because you're very weak to dark, remember, because your psychic moves won't hit them. Charge Beam, 75% chance to boost your special attack, really good if you don't need to worry about damage and you just want to worry about getting those stat boosts. Energy Ball, great grass type move. On the physical side, we got Fire Punch. We also get Thunder Punch later on in this list, so that's always good. We get Foul Play, amazing move if you're not going to invest in, not even if you're not going to invest, just a great move in general because it damages them based on their attack. Future Sight to mean that they take more damage later on. Giga Drain to get some health back. Heal Bell so that you can Cleric. Grass Knot if you're going against very heavy rock or ground types. HP is always good, depending on what you're going against. Remember, you need to tailor your HP for that. Ice Punch, the ice coverage you get, really good. Again, lets you take out some dragon types and some grass types if you don't want to use Fire Punch, and some flying types. Iron Tail, not the worst move in the world. Its accuracy definitely leaves much to the imagination though, so you gotta be careful about that. Imprison, now this is really good on certain sets if you anticipate them to have a certain move and you need to prevent it. So it gets both screens, which is important. It gets Knockoff, great utility move, and because you can be a mixed attacker, it's really good. Magic Coat, amazing because you get to bounce whatever they're going to try and throw at you. It gets all 3 rooms, which is really nice. And that's really important because you can use this as a room setter depending on what you need for rooms. It gets Power Up Punch, and that's if you're not going for raw damage, you want to get stat boosts, go for Power Up Punch. Pretty good move on a tanky set because you get to boost your attack, meaning that every time you attack later on, It's more powerful. Both Psychic and Psy-Shock, great stab Psychic moves depending on if you need to hit their special defense or their regular defense. It gets Rain Dance, good if you're going to be setting up Rain. As we go down Sandstorm, if you need to set up Sandstorm, but there's better Pokemon for that. Shadow Ball, Shockwave, and Signal Beam as 3 more coverage moves, very good. Stealth Rocks, great, it lets it set up rocks. Has Sunny Day if you need to get rid of weather or you need to set up Sunny Day. Thunderbolt, amazing because it's your electric coverage move as well as Thunder, but the accuracy on Thunder isn't as good. T-Wave, paralyzing the target, always good. Toxicking the target's always good. You can do a trick set where you give them an unfavorable item and force them to do something they don't want to do, such as be Scarfed, be Banded, be Spexed. Trick Room, Wonder Room, the other room that I mentioned, you get Water Pulse, great water coverage move with a 20% chance to confuse. U-Turn, amazing move, you know, it hits pretty hard. It's a good move and you get to switch out. And then Zen Headbutt if you are going to be going the physical psychic route. Now these aren't all the moves that are of use. These are just some of the few that I have chosen to look at here. Now we're going to jump right into the weaknesses of Uxie, which are dark types, and this is a common weakness among all psychic types because you can't hit them with your stab moves and they can hit you very hard because you're weak to dark. Now, bulky water types, this is an issue if you're not prepared for them. So certain bulky water types are pretty heavy, so you might want Grass Knot, or you might want Thunderbolt, or anything there. You have coverage for them, but because of their natural bulk, your special attack or attack isn't going to be doing as much because, again, you only have a 75 in your offensive stats, so you got to be careful. Now, bulky steel types, I agree with this because you can't toxic them. They don't care about Thunder Wave, but also you don't have very many coverage moves for them. You know, you have Fire Punch, but again, even going with a Fire Punch, because your attack is so low, it's not going to do too much. You got to be careful. Wall breakers, you know, Uxie's a wall, but it's not, you know, it's not the best wall in the world. It's not Cresselia, so you got to be very careful that you don't take too much damage and get yourself killed. And bulky setup sweepers, you know, Uxie is a sucker for being set up on because so many of the sets are just utility based, and that's a big issue that, you know, you bring this in and they just start setting up and then you get sweeped, and that can be a pretty big issue. So I suggest pairing this thing with a fighting type, or just pairing this thing with a team that takes advantage of having a solid psychic wall on your team. Now, jumping straight into the sets, I have 6 sets here that I'm going to be bringing you. The first is a leading set. You use this to lead with. And you use this to lead with pretty frequently using what is on there. So you have Stealth Rock, Magic Coat, U-Turn, and T-Wave. Now, if they lead with a Pokemon that can learn Magic Coat, but not Stealth Rock, you just U-Turn out and you're safe. If they lead with a Pokemon that can learn Stealth Rock and you're expecting a Stealth Rock, use Magic Coat and set up on them. Now at least you both have rocks on them, and or just wait them out. You know, you have leftovers, so you're pretty set. You have enough PP in Magic Coat that if they're going to want to waste 24 turns or more, let them until they, you know, switch out. Or you can throw a T-Wave on them if they're not a ground type, or you can U-turn out and then just go into a favorable matchup. I have leftovers here just to, if you take a little bit of damage, get your health back. It's specially defensive, but this could be physically defensive if you so chose. So that is to be kept in mind. So the next Uxie set I will be bringing you is a very specially defensive set. This maximizes your 130 special defense. Using an Assault Vest and maxing special defense means that this thing takes a special move like there's no tomorrow. Now, it's also a very physical set, although these moves could be could be special. It's really up to what you want to do. I use these moves, though, because they're the best utility you can get. Knockoff removes their item and also hits other psychic types, which can be an issue. Thunder Punch can paralyze, but also hits some good water types, which are an issue for you, and flying types. So you got to, you know, be wary of that. That's always good. You got to Stab, Zen, Headbutt, and this is really important because this lets you potentially flinch the target, but also is your stab move. Its accuracy is not the best, but having a stab move hits like that is good. And then U-turn, just so you can get out of there once you realize it's an unfavorable matchup. You know, this is usually a switch in. They'll switch, you can get chip damage off, and then you U-turn out. The third set is a defensive set, and this runs Stealth Rock, Heal Bell, Magic Coat, and Foul Play. And Foul Play can be switched out for something like Knock Off or a better utility attacking move. So you got to be, aware of that. I use the Rocky Helmet and max defense and max HP just so that this thing, when it takes a physical hit, it deals damage back. We have Stealth Rock here. That lets you set up hazards, and that's really good because you really want to get hazards out. And Magic Coat, again, as this thing can be a lead, and if they're going to rock you, you just Magic Coat it back. If they want to status you, you Magic Coat that back to them. Heal Bell to remove any statuses that your team may take. It's always good to have a Cleric. And then again, Foul Play, just because you have no attack investment, but this could be any other move that's somewhat good utility. You just want to be careful that if you get taunted, so that's why I have Foul Play and not a fourth status-based move. Because this thing is really bad taunt bait, this set. The next set is a offensive, or a bulky offensive, Culberberry set. Now, this is meant to take a knockoff, because knockoff will now not hit nearly as hard. Culberberry will be consumed, and you can acrobatics for a 110. You can U-turn out, you can Foul Play, although this again can be knockoff. And this is really where you want it. I honestly think it should be knockoff. And then Power Up Punch just to boost your attack and have that, super effective hit against dark types. And that's really important because Amon comes in and it wants to stab knockoff you, and you go for Power Up Punch, so now their knockoff does nothing. You have lost that Culberberry, so acrobatics will do so much, and you're hitting them with Power Up Punch, meaning you're probably going to kill them the next turn with your acrobatics if you can, or you can knock off yourself, or U-turn. This thing is a very bulky offensive set with quite a good amount of utility. So the next set here is a dual screen set. It runs Reflect, Light Screen, U-turn, just so you can get out there, and you'll see that this is actually a very slow turn set, so you can take a hit and then get out. And if they don't have, if they're below base 95, I mean, you, again, because you're so low in speed, you can actually get outsped by lower sped mons, which is good for this set. And then the last one is a room, and this can be any room. This can be Trick Room, or Wonder Room, or, this can be any of the rooms. Trick Room, or Wonder Room, or Magic Room. Whichever room you think you need for the team you're on, you run that room with dual screens and U-turn, because that lets you set up screens, switch out, and have a room up, which is very important. It's really strong. Leftovers, again, just so that you can get that health back when you need it. And the last set is just a specially offensive set. Bulky special offense with Life Orb. Dazzling Gleam for your dark types, Psychic for your ghost types and your fighting types, Signal Beam for your grass types, and your dark types, to be honest, if you don't want to use Dazzling Gleam, because Dazzling Gleam will also cover your dragon types, and Energy Ball for your water types, which again prove to be an issue. Now, again, you can tailor these moves however you want. You can run a Thunderbolt in there if you feel you're going to be going and needing Thunderbolt more than one of these moves. But either way, this set just maximizes your special attack, and because you're naturally bulky, you do quite a bit of damage and can take it as well. I've been Vampire218 here, bringing you my brief Pokemon Draft Spotlight on Uxie. If you like the video and you want to see more Draft Pokemon Spotlight or Draft League content in general, please leave a like, share, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Bye!